G'day folks, Ed Morrison here for Pounds to Kilos, and I am coming at you at the moment from cold Melbourne, but I am super pumped because only in a few days I'm heading up to Wollongong. Don't know how the weather is in Wollongong, but couldn't be more happy about going to the Down Under Championship, and that's what this episode is all about today. We're going to review the events from the Down Under Championship. I've got them in front of me here. This is going to be more so focused on the actual programming you're going to see for those heading down to the event. This would be a great show for you to just wrap your head around, the order of the events and what you're going to see in different days. For those that are going to watch the online stream, which I hear is coming together very nicely. Mick Shaw and the other directors of the Down Under Championship doing an excellent job there. But this show's geared towards sort of having you understanding what the events are, what's in the programming, and where possible, we'll sort of just discuss some athletes that we know are going to do well. It's a great program. It's quintessential CrossFit with some nice little twists and turns, and obviously utilizing the environment of Wollongong, which is a seaside town. So why don't we jump in and have a look at what day one will involve. So in the Down Under Championship on day one, the order of events is very much like the previous Pacific Regionals. We're going to get the team events first in the day, and then we'll get the individuals after that. Now, the team events are very similar to the individual events, so you sort of get to see, you almost get like a precursor to the individual events with the team events on at least on day one anyway, okay? So day one, the team event, number one is a 1 rep max clean and jerk. Every team member is going to perform a 1 rep max clean and jerk. They've got 3 attempts. Each attempt, they'll have 1 minute to lift that particular weight. From what I can tell, athletes will be allowed to take multiple attempts within the 1 minute, but they won't be able to change weight. I love that it's 1 minute. It's such a generous time, and that's awesome. It just means people can really lift heavy. 3 lifts as well, rather than 2, which we've seen before at the Pacific Regionals, means that people can really push the envelope. I think what you'll see is with three attempts, I think we're going to see a lot of failed lifts. The only reason I say that is because I reckon most people will attempt the weight that they really came to hit on the second lift, and therefore if they get it, the third lift becomes, well, why don't I try and PB in this environment? What better environment to do it? So you've got the men and the women all doing that. What type of weights we're going to see go up? Look, there'll be a variance. We've got a large number of teams. I reckon at the top end, the top heat, we're going to see multiple men hitting over 150 kilos in a team. So both gents over 150, and potentially our top team, both women hitting maybe over 90, closer to 100 kilos. I think that's probably going to get the job done to secure like a top 5 spot in this. If I think about the team members of a top team like Project X or Exterminators, Rob, Forte and James Newbury, they'll definitely hit close to 150, if not higher, in the clean and jerk. I know Kate Gordon's going for 110, and Maddie Sturt would be sort of around that mark as well. So that's the type of weights we're going to see at the top end, and then obviously there'll be a variance below that. Now, after team event 1, which is that clean and jerk, we've got team event 2, which is the following. Oh, sorry, I've gone to team event 3. I'm fairly organised today. In fact, team event 3, is on day 1 because the males and females are broken up for the clean and jerk. So team event 3 is 4 time 40 synchro muscle ups. I'll talk about that in a moment. It's quite interesting. Then as a pair, a male-female pair, 40 squat clean thrusters with dumbbells, 70 pounds for men, 50 for women. So both pairs do that. Then 80 double unders, and then the pairs stay together and they do a handstand walk each. Or both pairs will do a handstand walk. So look, the 40 synchro muscle ups, there's 3 team members working at the same time and 1 team member resting. So this is super tactical. We've seen a lot of Instagram shots of teams practicing this. And I was sort of thinking my way through it before, and what you really want here, and I know this sounds obvious, but you want somebody who's really good at muscle ups. I feel like the teams that will do well in this are obviously a team with everybody who's good at muscle ups will be awesome. But I think it's less of a detriment if you've got somebody who's not good at them, if you've got one person who's really, really good at them. And that's because it's 3 people having to sink. So you're basically right now as strong as the 2 weakest members in the team. They basically just need to rotate in and out, with the second strongest team member occasionally rotating out, and then the first strongest team member potentially stays in and does all 40, because you imagine the pace of the 40 for them will be quite manageable. I'll be really fascinated to see how this works. I've heard a few teams talk about the way they're going to rotate. For example, I know one team's going to literally keep 2 athletes on the rings and the bar for the entire workout, and then the other 2 athletes are simply going to rotate on the other muscle up. So really, really cool workout. The dumbbell's pretty heavy for a single arm squat clean thruster, but it's 40 reps. I think it's 70 pounds for men, 50 pounds for ladies. I think you'll see teams get through that okay. 80 double unders, pretty stock standard for a sanctionals athlete, but again, it's great to have that skill in there just to test it. That handstand walk at the end, that's going to be the kicker. If you struggle with muscle ups, you imagine they're going to burn shoulders and completely fry the pressing piece, especially the standard of the lockout in the muscle up at an event like this. That handstand walk, that's going to be really tough. And I expect to see some super exciting finishes with this one. So 12-minute cap. I definitely think we'll see some teams get capped with the muscle up volume, but we'll see some teams finish it really, really fast. Now, after team event 3, individuals are on. Their first event is a clean and jerk. Again, it's a 1RM. Everything I said about the teams applies. I think most athletes will come in with the second lift being ideally where they hit the weight they came to hit. And then the third lift is where they'll go for gold. Potentially we'll see some fails. Potentially we'll see some people pretty pumped up about a 1RM. Who's going to win that event? On the women's side, we've got Lindsay Valenzuela coming down. So lift like Lindsay. She's an amazing lifter. I love the way she lifts too. I hope she gives the crowd a good pump up if she hits a PB, even if she doesn't. But we'll see how she goes. On the men's side, you'd have to think Royce Dunn. He won the total at the CrossFit Games. So the clean and jerk at the sanctionals event, he'll certainly be pushed to his absolute limits, but I think we're going to see him clean and jerk something very, very close to 170. If my checking of his socials are correct, without being an absolute stalker, that's sort of where I expect him to end up. And this would be a great start to his weekend. He's got to come very high to qualify for the CrossFit Games if he wants to get there. So it'd be great for his confidence to take out the event win for event number 1. Now, individual event number 2. This is an absolute ripper. It's similar movements as the team event, but not as many. 3 rounds for time of 10 muscle ups, 20 single arm dumbbell snatches, and 100 double unders. There's a 9-minute cap on this workout. Definitely people will get capped. Those people that struggle with the ring muscle up might not be able to hold that 3-minute round pace. I also think we're going to see somebody do this exceptionally fast. I guess the question is, what tactics are we going to see on the ring muscle up? They're the very first thing they have to do. Are people going to try and go for 10 unbroken? Last year there was a Pacific regionals workout that started with 12 muscle ups, I believe. It was the gymnastics chipper. There was more problematic movements in that workout, but people still broke up the muscle up at the start. I don't think the top people will break up the muscle up at the start. Potentially they might not break it up at all. I think the dumbbell snatch, it's 50 pounds for females and it's 70 pounds for males. That's not really an issue for people of this quality. So I think someone like Jacob Heppner and Jamie Green, I think they potentially could do this workout in sort of 7 minutes 30, maybe quicker. The 100 double unders is the thing that will actually take time. Like even if you do 100 dubs unbroken, it's going to take a minute, isn't it? So to hold a 230 round would give you 7.5 minutes. That'd be a pretty phenomenal effort. Get the 10 muscle ups done in sort of like the 25 seconds, something like that. And then the dumbbell snatches, sort of chug through them. The transitions at regionals or at sanctionals are never that quick because of the floor. So maybe 7.5. Maybe I'm starry-eyed there, but I think it's possible. Okay. So Jamie Green and Jacob Heppner, the 2 top-ranked individuals, I expect them to do very well in event 2. Okay, let's move on to day 2. And the very first thing you'll see in day 2 is team event 4, which is for time in pairs, male, female, 25 strict handstand push-ups each, so 50 in total. Then 75 wall balls each, 150 in total, and then 30 team worm thrusters. Strict handstand push-ups, hey, they're gonna be a bit of a sticking point for some. 25 is not a crazy amount, but it's also enough for teams that have strong handstand push-ups to put a gap between themselves and a team that has a weak handstand push-upper. I am interested to see what the tactics are here. If you put the person with weak handstand push-ups first, they're potentially going to hold you up. But if you put them second, then they don't get any rest between the wall ball and the thruster, and they potentially don't get any rest between the handstand push-up and the wall ball, which I guess the first person wouldn't either. Sorry. So it's a tricky one. I think if the open tells us anything about the strict handstand push-up, it's that it's more challenging than people think after doing work before it. So the fact that it's at the start of this workout, I think we're going to see lots of people get through the 15-minute time cap. This is another one of those workouts where there's two pairs for a part of it, so male-female pairs. So you've got to wait on the other pair. Really, there's no place to hide for an individual with this workout. So this will be a big test. Again, I expect the same teams to do really well in this, but the teams that, like the worm thruster and the wall ball, I don't really see that as a roadblock. It's very capacity based, but not a roadblock. So it's the strict handstand push-up is going to be where it's at, and look forward to seeing some super fast times there. Now, after team event 4, there's team event 5, which is I love this workout. This is an absolute ripper. So it goes bike, snatch, row, burpee. Burpee step over as it is. Men are going to do 50 cals on the Echo bike, and then they're going to do 20 dumbbell snatches, and then they're going to do 50 cals on the row, and then 20 dumbbell burpee step overs, or burpee box step overs. 50-pound dumbbell, 20-inch box. The females are doing the same, but they're doing 40 cals. So the order here is female, male, female, male, and they can follow on from one another. Look, the dumbbell snatch in this is quite heavy. It's 80 pounds for gents and 55 pounds for ladies. This is going to be a challenging event for teams with small ladies. And that's certainly not to pick on the women within the field, but what we know about the Echo bike or the assault bike, whatever you want to call it, it's a Rogue Echo bike this time. It's very hard for smaller people to get that thing moving. So it's that 40 cals. There's people that can do 40 cals in something close to under a minute. There's women that could do it in under a minute, and then there's other women that potentially take 4 or 5 minutes. Cals is an interesting measurement. Like it's never linear. I guess the point being is those people that are strong at the bike, they're going to probably go really hard and then just see if they can hold on for dear life, which will be quite painful. But that's where the advantage is. Can you do the cals quicker and get yourself well ahead? The dumbbell snatches, there's only 20 of those, admittedly quite heavy, but there's only 20. And the burpee step overs, look, they're not going to be fast, but again, I don't see them being the thing where the gap is made. I think that'll happen on the assault bike. And provided you don't blow yourself up, if you're good at the assault bike, this is going to be a good workout for you. Now, after team event 5, we're going to go into individual event 3, which is on the beach. So this is a cool event. This is the one where we wouldn't have got this at a regionals previously. For individuals, it's run 600, swim 300, and run 1,000 to finish with. The individual event is going to be followed by another team event. So the teams come back after some time off, and they're going to do also the run, swim, run. The team event is run 1,000, swim 200, and then run 1,000 holding an 8-foot rope. Let's talk about individuals first. This is obviously a really cool test for us to have at a sanctionals event. The swim of 300 meters, that's in the ocean. And from what I can remember about Wollongong, although I don't really go down to the beach at this time of year whenever I'm there, it's pretty rough. It's rough enough that if you're not exposed to ocean swimming, it could become a sticking point. So exposure to that is going to be key, because it means you can go hard at that first run and know that you can get in the water with a fair bit of lactic in your system and still push. And then that last 1,000 meters, that's going to be epic on the beach. I hope we get a really good crowd down there. It's just near the stadium, so if you're there, plan to go to this event. It'll be an absolute ripper. Difficult to know who's going to do well in this. I'm going to put to you that somebody who is not in the top 5 or top 10 would be a real show to take this out. Maybe we get a familiar name. If Rob Forte was in the individuals, I'd certainly think that he'd be a show. Yeah, this is a nice open event. Good way to test a little bit more variance than what we've got in regionals previously. The team event, look, the fact that they have to run over the line halting an 8-foot rope means that really this is about your weakest member and what they're capable of, and how does the team support them, particularly if the weakest swimmer is a good runner. So like, is the team able to then go harder on the run with that person, stay with them, almost sacrifice themselves so that they get ahead, and the weaker swimmers get a little bit more time to potentially protect a lead. This is going to be interesting in the teams. Let's see what happened to our top teams. We've got a lot of really, really capable teams with individual regionals competitors from yesteryear. Are those teams going to do well at this event, or are they going to get knocked off by teams that have got sort of not specialists, but people that are good at this stuff, or don't have a weak athlete at this stuff? Can't wait to get down to the beach. Like, it's so cool that's part of this event. Now so that's individual event 3 and team event 6. Once we've done that, we go back into the stadium and we've got individual event 4. Yes, we do. I'll be calling this action on the floor, so I best get across it. Now this is a really cool workout. This is like the sprint chipper, if you will. 4-time 40 strict handstand push-ups, 80 wall balls at conventional weight, and an 80 cal row. The 40 strict handstand push-ups for the top athletes, I think you'll see them maybe break this once or twice. The top athletes, the best people at strict handstand push-ups, will do 40 unbroken. 80 wall balls, you'll certainly see this be done unbroken. It's not a huge amount of volume, and there's nothing after it which is potentially problematic for the shoulders, because it's just an 80 cal row. This is going to be a sprint, which sounds weird with 40 strict handstand push-ups in it, but I don't see this taking the top athletes very long. It's a 12-minute time cap. My money for this one, look, with the females, I think I'm going to go back to Jamie Green on this. She's going to be very hard to beat all weekend, but I just think her capacity with this will just be so challenging to match. In saying that, Courtney Haley's got some serious capacity on a strict handstand push-up. For the men, I can't go past Dean Linder-Leighton on this one. Amazing handstand push-ups. I think he'll do 40 unbroken. And then the wall ball and the row. Look, in 19.1, he didn't do as well as you would... it wasn't his best open workout for the year because of, I guess, the wall ball. But at that volume, I think he'll do the wall balls unbroken. And he's a really good rower for somebody who's on the shorter side. Sorry, Dino. But I think Dean will be the person to take this event out, and I think he'll do it unbroken. So that's event 4 individual. And then the last thing that we do, in fact, you know what, guys? I'm so sorry. That event takes place before the teams are at the beach. So the individuals will do that event, and then we'll go to the beach again for the teams. Individual event 5 is... I keep saying all these events are cool because they bloody are. The programming is outstanding. 9-minute cap, 30 bar muscle ups, 20 cal echo bike, 30 snatches at Isabel weight, which is 135 for men, 95 pounds for women, and then a 20 cal ski erg. Look, there'll be people that will do huge sets of bar muscle ups in this, maybe sets of 10. There's certainly people that could do bigger sets than that. Maybe somebody who's really strong at gymnastics, like a Jacob Hepner, maybe he comes in and does close to, God, I'm going to say it, he could probably do close to 30 unbroken. I mean, I know he could do close to 30 unbroken. He could probably do it in this workout as well. 20 cal echo bike, if you pump that thing as hard as you can, you'll get that done in 30 seconds. More realistically, to ensure they can do the snatch as well, I reckon we'll probably see them do it in sort of like a minute, that type of pace, maybe a little bit less. Now the 30 snatches, I've been thinking about this, and at that weight, I still think we're going to see a lot of top athletes do singles. There's nothing after it, but I just think the shoulders and legs from the bar muscle ups and echo bike are such that we'll see people just do fast singles. I was watching a video recently of Cole Sager. He had to do Isabel in a chipper type format, and he did singles and he did it in under 2 minutes. So singles is fast. I think coming off the echo bike, we might see singles, and then as people get more desperate, you might see people like sort of looking at the person next to them and thinking, holy God, I got to hang on to this. And then the 20 cal ski erg, that's just full send, isn't it? Like someone like Royce Dunn will just pull 20 cals so quickly on that ski erg, and this is going to be another fast event. There's a 9-minute time cap. Are we going to see people get capped? I think we will, because of the 30 bar muscle ups at the start. People who start to fail those things and that can blow out. That'll potentially take us over a time cap for some athletes in the earlier heats, but for the most part, people will get this done. That, folks, is the end of day 2. Saturday is done. Go out Saturday night for sure. Wollongong's a cracking place. And then we move on to team event 7. That's Sunday morning. This is a classic combo, but there's a slight twist to it. It's the worm and burpees, but it's 5 rounds for time of 10 worm squat clean thrusters and 10 burpees. 15-minute cap on this. I was speaking to an athlete who's competing in this today, just saying that the squat clean thruster on the worm, the timing on that thing and the changing sides of it is really, really challenging. It's not a crazy amount of burpees. We've seen at regionals before, like sets of like 40 and 30 team burpees, and you just see people get mangled while their team's like waiting for one athlete. And you're like, keep going, you've only got 30 burpees left. Like, that's horrible. This is only sets of 10. It should be quite fast. It's going to come down to efficiency on the worm. And that's why you imagine the teams that have access to a worm get to practice it off and have done the hours there. They're going to be the ones that will do very well in this. That's an obvious statement, but I think that's a simple fact. Team event 8. So the last team event it's got a 15-minute time cap on it. And we've got a male-female pair doing 20 rope climbs, followed by the other male-females. It's 10 each. So the male-females do 10. The next male-female pair do 10 again, so 20 in total. Then we've got 100 toes to bar synchro. So the male-female pair do 50. Then the pair behind them do another 50. And then we've got 50 pistol squats with weight. It's 25 synchro. So 24 kilos for the men to hold and 16 for the women. This is going to be a sprint to the finish. It sounds obvious. That volume for any individual who's qualified for sanctionals isn't crazy. 10 rope climbs, 50 toes to bar, and then 25 pistols. It's nothing out of control. The big thing here is how fast are you willing to go on the rope, the 10 rope climbs, so that you can keep moving on the toes to bar. I don't find, and I know a number of people don't find toes to bar that grippy, like they're a straight armed pull, but after rope climbs, they're going to be really grippy. The 50 pistol squats, they're synchro. Synchro pistols, don't see them super often. So looking forward to seeing how the teams have practiced that. The minimum work requirement is 1 rope climb each. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't think that'll be an issue for any athlete at sanctionals. I would expect in this, if we've got a close, tight finish on the leaderboard, just watch for the drama to unfold on those 50 pistol squats, because you want to stay synchro, but you're probably noticing teams around you and you're thinking, holy God, we can climb the leaderboard here. So then you get out of synchro and then you got to get back into synchro. I think that'll be a crazy event. So looking forward to that. Individual event 6. I know how many events there are. I'm just trying to keep track of the numbers. Sorry, guys. This is called Sand and Hand. Marketing department did a good job on that one. 5-minute time cap. You know it's going to be fast when there's a 5-minute time cap. 10 sandbag cleans over the shoulder. Move the sandbag forward 5 meters. 10 sandbag cleans over the shoulder. Move the 5 forward meters. 10 cleans over the shoulder. And then hand walk to finish. Do you know what? This event here, it's a 100-pound sandbag for the females and 150 for the ladies. For the men. So 100 pounds, sort of 45 kilos, and then 150 pounds, 67 kilos for the men. It's not crazy weight for an athlete at the top. With the handstand walk, I know there's a lot of people that can handstand walk, but nobody can handstand walk like Courtney Haley. She showed us that at the games last year. I can't wait to see her do this event. She just recently has qualified for the games via her finish in Fittest to Cape Town. So I imagine she'll come in here with a bucket load of confidence because she thought she was potentially going to have to compete for a spot that weekend. So she would be very well prepped. But then the pressure is off, and I know Courtney would perform well under pressure, but to sort of go out there and just feel like I've already got this spot locked up and have that freedom, I think she's going to have a big event. I wouldn't be surprised if you see her right near the pointy end, the very top. Anyway, I digress. She's my tip for individual event 7. Who do I think is going to win the men for individual event 7? I know I keep mentioning, but I've seen Jacob Heppner handle a sandbag, and it's quite remarkable for how I'd say he's one of the lighter athletes, and then he can walk on his hands for days. I think him and Dean Linda-Layton will battle that out. And then another name that I mentioned earlier, Royce Dunn. That dude has got some serious gymnastics capacity for a man his size. He will completely devastate this sandbag, and maybe he'll give himself enough room to stay in front on the handstand walk. All right, finally, individual event 7. Let me read you through it. It's got 4 movements. It's effectively a triplet of rope climbs, toes to bar, and pistols. But in between each round, they also have to do an overhead lunge. So it goes 7 rope climbs, 21 toes to bar, and 7 pistols on each leg. Then it goes 5 rope climbs, 15 toes to bar, and 5 pistols on each leg. Then 3 rope climbs, 9 toes to bar, and 3 pistols on each leg. In between each of those rounds, there's an overhead lunge to the next station, as well as an overhead lunge to the finish mat. If you saw the 2017 CrossFit, was it 17? Yeah, 17. CrossFit Games. Overhead lunges to the finisher mat in the final event. I have flashbacks of Tia and Cara going neck and neck next to each other. This is going to be, it's got a 15-minute time cap, but we've got a reduction to 40 athletes at this point. This is just a sprint for these athletes. Like I know the rope climb, you've got to be careful with a rope climb. It is only 15 for the total workout, so not crazy. And the toes to bar volume, 45 toes to bar. The pistol volume, I haven't done the maths on it, but it's really not that much. What is it? It's 21 plus another 30, which is 51 plus 9. It's somewhere around 70 pistols. They're weighted, but I just don't see these athletes having a problem with them. It's a 16 kilo kettlebell for women, 24 for men. I think at this stage of the weekend, it's probably who's got it left in the tank and who it means more to. I know that sounds a bit silly and remiss when we're talking about athletes of this caliber, but we've got several athletes that have already sewn up a spot in men and women's competition for the CrossFit Games, that is. So you imagine that just going into the final event, if you know you're going to the games, you obviously want to win a sanctional, but the hunger of the person who potentially knows that, hey, if I win this, I'm going to the games. I expect that to get the job done if we're in that scenario. So that's our individual event 7. Should be a great way to finish. Team, I hope this wasn't too quick a review of the events. I've tried to summarize 3 days of competition in 30 minutes for you. Do you know what? Like, this programming is like I said at the start of the show, it's just sensational. It's classic CrossFit with enough variance to make sure that we're going to send the right people from this sanctional event to the CrossFit Games, and also allowing the athletes to really test themselves sort of outside the box. And that's clear through not only the Run Beach event, like that's the obvious one that's sort of outside the arena, but then there's also just some really nice twists on movements, and some new movements that we haven't seen at regionals level before, in both the team and the individual competitions. So looking forward to this event. I can't stress that enough. And if you're around, say g'day. I'll be on the mic all weekend, emceeing the event. I hope I'm not too annoying as the MC. My goal always as the MC is to make this as exciting an event for the spectators, I should say, and for the competitors. It's just to give them the experience that they deserve. I've watched sport my whole life, and I really truly have a goal that CrossFit is going to become a sport that is on par with the other sports that I grew up watching. But that only happens if people who watch and love the sport tell the stories of the sport. So the commentators, the MC, my goal is always to make this as much about the athletes as possible, and to tell the story that you see. So I'm humbled to have that role, and can't wait to do it again. To have the internationals alongside our local heroes is pretty awesome. And I'll see you there. Come say g'day to me, and keep converting those pounds to kilos.